This week on ANN, 23 Adventist members detained in Burundi are released.
The Seventh-Day Adventist Church responds to the Equality Act.
And religious liberty advocates gather in Washington, D.C. for the annual Religious Liberty Dinner.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, Adventists in Burundi are rejoicing after 23 detained church members were released by national officials.
In a statement, the Adventist Church thanked members for praying for this situation and the government of Burundi for its role in the release.
The statement read, "We have received very encouraging news and are happy to indicate that all Seventh-Day Adventist detainees in Burundi have been released. Prayers have been answered. We thank the government of Burundi for its role and specifically one of its members of parliament, Honorable Justin Niobungiru, for facilitating the release. Thank you to Seventh-day Adventist church members worldwide and others who have been praying earnestly for the detainees, for the church in Burundi, and for the Burundi government leaders. We look forward to continued improvement in this sensitive situation dealing with the church and its governance. We encourage you to keep praying that God will provide a helpful resolution to the challenges being faced and for peace and prosperity in Burundi."
Last week, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Equality Act. The bill, if it were to become law, would extend protection to gay, lesbian, and transgender individuals across a broad spectrum of U.S. civil rights laws. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, in a statement, expressed concerns this legislation would further erode the religious liberty of faith communities and their members. The Equality Act makes no allowance for communities or individuals of faith who hold traditional views of marriage and gender. In a joint statement, General Conference and North America Division leadership said, "The Seventh-day Adventist Church believes that every human being, regardless of their beliefs or choices, is created in the image of God and thus deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. We recognize LGBT individuals who often suffer unjust discrimination and are in need of legal protection. Unfortunately, in attempting to provide protection for some, the Equality Act unnecessarily infringes upon the rights of others. The way forward means addressing the concerns of both the LGBT and religious communities. We believe there is a better approach, one that builds upon the civil rights protections offered in the Equality Act by also reaffirming the First Amendment religious freedom rights of people of faith." The statement also reaffirmed the Church's biblical interpretation of marriage, gender, and their long-held commitment to the separation of church and state. The Adventist Church called on Congress to pass legislation that guards civil rights of all Americans while protecting the right of faith communities to live and worship according to their convictions.
Adventist leaders and religious liberty advocates came together this week for the 17th Annual Religious Liberty Dinner at the Religious Freedom Center in Washington, D.C. This year's keynote was given by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Representative Jackson Lee is a Seventh-day Adventist, serving in her 11th term as a member of the United States House of Representatives. This year's National Religious Liberty Award was given to Stanley Karasinthis, founder and senior director of the Institutional Religious Freedom Alliance. Asma Udin, senior scholar for the Religious Freedom Center and Freedom Forum Institute, and Chris Siepel, president emeritus for the Institute of Global Engagement, received International Religious Liberty Awards. The event is sponsored by the Adventist Church's International Religious Liberty Association, North America Religious Liberty Association, Liberty Magazine, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Each year, the dinner is held to celebrate and bring attention to the central human right of freedom of religion or belief. After the dinner, we caught up with Congresswoman Jackson Lee to ask her why this event was so important to her.
Human rights is religious freedom, religious liberty, and religious liberty is human rights. It is so very important because it's a basic core value of every human being to have something they believe in, they love, that inspires them, that draws inspiration. And faith is about inspiration. It is about beliefs. And it saddens me that around the world, there are people who are craving to believe in something different than their nation allows them to do. Iran is a perfect example. Meeting with Iranian Americans, I know their love for freedom and democracy, and I know the challenges that people of faith have in Iran. I know the challenges that people have with different faiths in different countries, to the extent that sometimes people lose their lives. So I'm excited about the Seventh-day Adventist Church and the extensive work that they've been doing on religious liberty all of my life. And it has been an anchor in my life. In fact, it's been instructive in my life. And frankly, I think my work in the United States Congress is based upon the messages that I received early in life about the importance of everyone having a chance to hear the Word, to be inspired by the Word, and to accept it without fear of death or violence or the loss of the life of anyone in their family. So I believe religious liberty and religious freedom are human rights, and I believe that if we are not diligent and vigilant year after year after year, even in 2019, we will lose that religious freedom.
During a recent summit held in Geneva, Switzerland, Jonathan Duffy, president of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, joined hundreds of interfaith world leaders to discuss fostering inclusivity and countering hate speech to enhance the protection of religious minorities, refugees, and migrants. Duffy served on a panel of esteemed lawyers and executive directors organized by the International Association for the Defense of Religious Liberty. He shared what the global trends in migration are and highlighted what drives migration. During his speech, Duffy voiced why we as a people should not see immigrants as our enemies, adding that many refugees have made positive impacts on our communities. Google, the world-renowned internet search engine, was started by a Russian immigrant, and Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, was the son of a Syrian immigrant. Duffy emphasized the importance of compassion, saying, "Who is speaking up for justice for all? Who is having compassion for the less privileged and the marginalized? If not us, then who? If we use our combined voice, it is a force that cannot be ignored." We also have a role to play in our own faith communities to change the dialogue of hate and ignorance to peace, love, and acceptance. ADRA will be highlighting services around its networks to honor Refugee Sabbath, officially designated by the Adventist Church for June 15. The United Nations also sanctioned June 20 as World Refugee Day, honoring families who were forced to leave their homes by no fault of their own.
Recently, more than 5,000 Seventh-Day Adventists in Chiapas, Mexico, cleaned streets in support of the city Let's Clean Tuxtla initiative, wearing Pathfinder uniforms or special shirts identifying them as Seventh-Day Adventists. The group cleared parks, emptied lots, and held signs encouraging drivers and onlookers to keep the city clean. Daniel Torreblanca, communication director for the church in Chiapas and one of the main organizers of the event, said, "For Seventh-day Adventists, the environment in which we live is very important. That's why, as church members, we try to get involved in these types of projects. A clean city is a happy city, hence it produces happy and healthy citizens." Torreblanca also said it was important to join the initiative to clean and beautify the city as a way of raising awareness and getting citizens more involved. Local church leaders also explained that the initiative is crucial in preparing the city for the rainy season. Members covered storm drains, which adds a layer of protection against diseases such as dengue, Zika, and chikungunya. As members finished the cleanup, they gathered at the Tuxtla Gutierrez Central Park, where they thanked God for the impact of the activity and shared testimonies of what they experienced during the day. For more information on this initiative, visit interamerica.org.
More than 1,600 Adventist young men and women within the Southern Asia-Pacific region were dared to bravely ask for wisdom that each may be fully mobilized for mission.
The challenge was offered during the Youth Leadership Summit held at the Central Philippine Adventist College in Bacolod City, Philippines.
The summit, #Ask19, is part of the 5-year theme of the region's youth department, Pass It On.
Director of the Youth Ministries for the Seventh-day Adventist World Church, Gary Blanchard, expressed his excitement as he joined with the delegates in braving challenges and living radically for the mission. He said, "We have to ask ourselves what we want to do for the Lord. God has placed a passion and desire in our hearts to do something. What does He want you to do? Whatever it is, do it with all your heart. Live dangerously for God."
Delegates of the Youth Leadership Summit joined various activities and attended breakout sessions to see what ways their skills can be utilized for the church.
The Adventist Youth Department of SSD partnered with the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, ADRA, to empower the youth to become a workforce which can be tapped by the agency during relief operations.
In addition to the training during the breakout classes, delegates were divided into small groups during the evening sessions, where they fellowshipped with young people from other places and learned lessons from their different faith journeys.
Evening devotional speaker Wilson Aritonang said the whole purpose of asking from God is to make known and show the glory of God in our lives. If we understand that, we will see something more than we could have ever imagined that God has in store for us.
Coming up, in Russia, the Kind Hands Project is helping church members reach out to their communities.
But up next, Desmond Doss's story is still inspiring us today. We have more from Norway.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the seventh-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. It can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
Christian Ondegard, a young soldier in the Norwegian army, became fascinated by the faith of Doss after watching the film Hacksaw Ridge. That film and subsequent inquiries changed his life.
The Adventist Church in the Trans-European Division has more.
While in the Norwegian military, a young man saw a film that changed his life.
I watched this war movie from Mel Gibson called Hacksaw Ridge, which made a huge impact on me because of this character named Desmond Doss. What was kind of strange with this Christian was that he celebrated the Sabbath, and I don't think I actually heard about any type of Christian church that celebrates the Sabbath, except for the Jews.
One day he had a conversation with his brother, who at that time worked as a substitute teacher in the local Seventh-Day Adventist school.
And he told me about during lunchtime with the teachers that many of them were vegetarians. And I started to make a connection between that and Desmond Doss. So I just needed to. I asked him if there was any chance they celebrated the Sabbath, and he said yes, because, of course they do. They are Adventists, and like Desmond Doss in Hacksaw Ridge. So I started to believe that there was a church full of Desmond Doss in Mjøndalen.
The young man decided to check out the church.
There was one Sunday I wanted to visit the school and the church, just to check the area, because I knew that they only celebrate the Saturday or the Sabbath. So I thought the place was empty, but there were some people here who just arrived from a scout camp, or what I can call it. So I had a very nice conversation with them, and they wanted and asked me to come visit the church the next Sabbath, and that's 8 months ago, and I have been there ever since.
Yes, he has been coming to the Seventh-day Adventist Church ever since, and not too long ago he was baptized into the worldwide fellowship of the Seventh-day Adventist believers. The testimony of courageous and faithful Desmond Doss still bears fruit for the kingdom of God.
There are already more than 10 Adventist congregations in Ural, Russia, serving their communities through the Kind Hands Project.
Kind Hands lends real support to people in need, unites congregations, and fills churches with people ready to hear God's word.
The Adventist Church in Eurasia sent this report.
Уже более 10 общин в Уральском объединении служат жителям своих городов через проект «Добрые руки». Это проект, который по силам сегодня любой общине. Он приносит реальную поддержку нуждающимся, объединяет общины и наполняет молитвенные дома людьми, готовыми слышать Слово Божье. В городе Серове на севере Урала наша община насчитывает около 50 человек. По воскресеньям жителей города приглашают на встречи, где нуждающиеся могут получить продуктовые наборы и выбрать себе одежду. Но основная часть встречи – это библейская тема, которую проводит пастор в формате знакомой многим евангельской программы. На встречи приходит до 50 человек. Уже после первых месяцев община перестала раздавать приглашения на каждую встречу, так как желающих стало приходить больше, чем может обслужить община. В городе жители знают об этих встречах. Многие люди откликаются на призыв пожертвовать ненужную одежду, обувь и технику. Местный молокозавод предложил забирать у них некондиционную, но при этом свежую продукцию. А местный батюшка рекомендовал обращаться к ним людям, оказавшимся в нужде.
Когда мы первый раз собрались, мы немножко были в стопоре, потому что община небольшая, ресурсы небольшие, и что мы можем предложить людям реально, чтобы вот сюда люди могли приходить, и что они будут от нас получать? Вещи, да, но где мы их возьмем? Потому что и в общине есть много людей нуждающихся, продукты, какой набор, что, как, на что их покупать, потому что это затратно. Но мы все-таки решили идти вперед, попробовать. работать. И вы знаете, когда мы начали этот проект, мы увидели, что то, что мы боялись предложить людям, и то, что думали, что это нереально и будет неинтересно для людей, это было просто отклик. Мы сразу увидели большой отклик. На первую встречу у нас пришло 35 человек, потом 45, потом 60. И потом мы даже начали молиться: Господи, мы уже больше не можем вмещать.
Этот проект объединил всю общину. Работа находится всем желающим. Кто-то участвует в программе, одни привозят, другие раскладывают вещи, кто-то встречает и общается с посетителями. Многие из постоянных посетителей сами участвуют в проекте как волонтеры. Более 10 человек стали приходить на богослужение. Прошло уже несколько крещений. А на февральской встрече призывом вступить в завет с Богом заинтересовались 6 человек.
Проект «Добрые руки» для наших молитвенных домов является второй жизнью или вторым дыханием. Потому что, как правило, наши дома молитвы, они находятся в частном секторе. И точно не в центре города, а где-нибудь на окраине. И в такие места не просто приводить новых людей. Но вот на добрые руки люди приходят и в такие дома молитвы. Поскольку люди переступают порог церкви, для них в принципе нет барьера, чтобы говорить о духовных вещах. Поэтому мы, собственно, с первой встречи сразу начинали говорить о вопросах веры. Сначала 15, потом 20 минут. И в конечном счете сейчас я провожу полноценные евангельские программы. Люди приходят, чтобы получить хлеб, но затем у них проявляется аппетит к духовному. В нашем объединении не менее 10 общин уже включились активно в проект «Добрые руки».
Coming up, social media specialist Emily Mastrapa is here to share a new motion graphics tool.
But up next, Adventist Mission shares the story of a young girl who wanted to use her birthday to share Jesus.
Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and gather all the Jews who are in Susa together, and pray and fast for me. Do not eat or drink anything for 3 days and nights. I and my maidens will fast as you do. After that, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish.
When Juliana's birthday came around, she didn't want a birthday cake. She wanted to feed the homeless.
When her mother resisted, Juliana found a way to overcome all obstacles and be an example for Jesus.
Adventist Mission has more.
Mom didn't expect Juliana to refuse a cake for her 11th birthday. "I want to bake you a chocolate cake," Mom said a few days before Juliana's birthday. "No, thank you," Juliana said. Mom looked surprised. "Why not?" she said. "I want to feed the homeless people rather than have a cake," Juliana said. "Let's make soup for the homeless." Juliana had seen a crowd of homeless people sleeping at the bus stop when she and Mom had gone out, and she couldn't stop thinking about them. "It's too difficult and too much work," Mom said. "It would cost too much money for the ingredients. We also don't have a big pot to cook enough soup." But Juliana wasn't discouraged. "I want to give soup to the homeless," she insisted. "This is the work of God." Juliana had learned about God at a Seventh-Day Adventist Church in Salvador, Brazil. She first went to the church because she wanted to join its Pathfinder Club. She had seen a neighborhood friend wearing the Pathfinder uniform, so she wanted to be a Pathfinder too. A little while after she joined the club, she gave her heart to Jesus and was baptized. Mom was glad that Juliana loved God, but she wasn't interested in going to church. After Mom said she couldn't cook soup without a big pot, Juliana visited some of her Adventist neighbors and asked if they had a big pot that she could borrow. 2 neighbors gave her big pots, and she brought them home 3 days before her birthday. But she still didn't have the ingredients for the soup. The matter seemed hopeless, so Juliana prayed, "God, please give me wisdom and touch Mom's heart to allow me to make soup for the homeless." The next day, Juliana gingerly asked Mom again whether she could make soup for the homeless. Mom got angry. "Go to the store and ask for them to donate the food for the soup," she replied. She secretly hoped that Juliana would be too shy to go to the store. But Juliana happily skipped to the neighborhood store, praying, "Thank you, God, for answering my prayer." At the store, she told the manager about her desire to make soup for the homeless and asked if he would donate the ingredients. He told her to return the next day. Juliana went to several other stores with the same request, but all the managers also told her to return the next day. She visited her Adventist neighbors again, and they promised to bring over some vegetables. The day before Juliana's birthday, she stopped at the first grocery store after school. The manager gave her a huge bag of vegetables. The other stores and her Adventist neighbors also gave her food as they said they would. Mom was shocked when she saw bags of onions, chili peppers, potatoes, carrots, pumpkins, corn, spices, and other ingredients for soup. "What is all this?" she asked. "These are the ingredients for the soup that you're going to make," Juliana beamed and showed Mom the 2 big pots that she had borrowed. Mom was amazed at Juliana's determination to help the homeless. With the help of several Adventist women, they made the soup. On her birthday, Juliana put on her Pathfinder uniform, and with her friends and Mom, they loaded the 2 big pots of soup into a car. When they arrived at a bus stop where some homeless people sat, a friend announced, "Today is Juliana's birthday, and she has made soup for you." The homeless people were delighted. Everyone formed a circle around Juliana and clapped and sang "Happy Birthday" to her. Mom felt ashamed that she hadn't wanted to help the homeless. She realized that Juliana was filled with the love of God, and she wanted to be filled with God's love too. 2 months after Juliana's birthday, Mom was baptized. Today, Juliana, Mom, and several other church members go out twice a month to feed the homeless and share God's blessings. You can give to this quarter's 13th Sabbath offering, part of which will help open a place in Juliana's city, Salvador, Brazil, where people can take Bible studies and healthy cooking classes. Think about ways that you too can help people in need in your community. Thank you for your mission offering.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org. Then click on videos at the top.
Have you ever seen those great motion graphic posts on social media and wondered how you can use them?
Emily Mastrapa is here to tell you about an easy new tool you can use to create your own motion graphics.
65% of people are visual learners, and 90% of the information transmitted to our brain is visual. So if you're trying to connect with your audiences on social media, you might want to consider using motion graphics. Motion graphics are animations, but with the text as a major component. Essentially, it's animated graphic design. There are multiple ways to create and use motion graphics. One way is to create a video. These videos are a great way to get information to your audience in an interesting way. You can easily create amazing motion graphic videos with Biteable.com. This website is super easy to use, and best of all, it's free. They have a built-in library with stock footage and animations, or you can upload your own photos and clips. You can also personalize the videos by adding your logo and brand colors. They also have a bunch of templates that you can use. The videos are basically already made. You just have to put the information that you want into it. You can create a great motion graphic within minutes. So head to Biteable.com and look through their templates. I'm sure that your social media audience will appreciate seeing these engaging videos on your pages. And make sure to tag us so that we can see how you're using this tool.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Alejandra Castillo for a look at Adventist history.
This week, Faith for Today is broadcast for the first time.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On May 21st, 1950, Faith for Today was launched on WJZ-TV in New York City. The broadcast, founded by William and Regina Fagel, was owned and fully sponsored by the Seventh-Day Adventist Church. At the urgent request of the Atlantic Union, a committee in the General Conference had been appointed with the task of finding ways to telecast on one of New York City's television stations. The telecast came to life with the signing of a 13-week contract with the WJZ-TV for release of an Adventist telecast at 9:30 each Sunday evening. William A. Fagel, a pastor in New York City, had conducted a successful 6-year program of radio and public evangelism in the area, making him very suitable to pioneer this project. After wide counsel with both within and without the church, the Parable Approach program format was adopted, which allowed for a broader range of subjects to be discussed on air and in story form. The program started with a portrayal of everyday problems of life, followed by a biblical solution, then a 5-minute sermonette by the pastor to solidify the discussion in the story. Several gospel songs were included, and the program ended with an invitation by Mrs. Fagel, along with her husband, to enroll in the Bible correspondence course. Faith for Today enjoys the distinction of being the longest-running non-news program currently being aired on television, and next year it will be celebrating its 70th anniversary. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-Day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details, and feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29, verse 11.
The passage says, "Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the splendor and the majesty, for everything in the heavens and on earth belongs to you. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom, and you are exalted as head over all."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.